using it for about 4 or 5 years, and the thing that just amazes me when I do have an agent that isn't into electronic signing, and you know, most of our clients really expect it now. I mean, they expect it to be done that way. So the idea of just going and having things signed, it's, you know, when another agent sends you a contract, and I've had clients say, what do you mean? I can't sign this thing electronically? So they're used to doing it as well.
It's interesting because some of my clients, you know, they don't seem, anybody who's done a real estate transaction before and who's had to go through the faxing or the handwritten and everything else, they sit down to the CTM contracts and they're just like, wow, they love it as much as we do because they know what the alternative is. I would say some of my younger clients, like maybe those first-time home buyers, they're probably not as impressed with it as we are because I think they're more of the computer age, and so it's more of what they expect. And so they like the convenience of it because I'm sure they can imagine what it would be like if we weren't able just to sit them down and have them sign it, but not knowing anything different. I would say it fits right in with their culture. They just use it and think it's great and are very happy that they don't have to interrupt their life anymore than they need to.
Just I think it's, a lot of times it's pretty amazing for the buyers or sellers to sign their name electronically, which is pretty new for a lot of people anymore, and then trying to tell them that your signatures aren't going to look perfect if you sign it with a mouse or your finger or whatever, but it is legal. And it's something, once they do it, they really kind of like that aspect of it, and it's so convenient. I think that was the main thing that kind of drove me to use this software in the beginning. Before, we had programs we could pull off the internet, software programs like this for contracts, but we didn't have the electronic signature portion of it. And this just makes it very slick. And then being able to view the disclosures and being able to share those from agent to agent when you're in a transaction, and making sure that, you know, all parties have signed it and those kind of things, and it'll notify you. Just makes one more step that makes our business even more efficient, and the productivity goes up, and makes us look a lot more professional too.
People are busy today. People are busy. People are all around the world, all around the country, doing real estate transactions, and you know, the days of faxing, you know, signatures back and forth, it's just over. I mean, they expect, because in the industries that they're usually in, they expect electronic signing, and CTM contracts is the perfect avenue for that. I know there's other electronic contracts out there, but CTM is probably the most user-friendly. You can tie in all the agents that are, even if they're not savvy into electronic signing, you can tie them into it, you can tie their customers into it. You can, it's a transaction management program for everybody involved. It's way cool.
It's been great. I mean, I've had people kind of with the old school way, and by the end of the transaction, you know, I've started off, well, signing everything, and then, you know, as you go through amend extends, and you go and you're adding inspection notices and adding all these other contracts to the deal, it's gradually gone into where it was, oh, it's just easy if I just sign online, right? Yeah, it is, and so it's always, you know, you can always get people to that point, showing them how easy it is, and especially with the iPad, like I mentioned earlier, where you can literally be there, fill the information, and they don't have to mess with a mouse, and they can sign it right there and hit enter. I've used that probably 90% of my transactions, I would say.
Well, it's kind of funny. The last listing contract I did was for a retired couple that are moving out to Grand Junction. And she said, you sent me an email, and it says all I have to do is click on here and just sign it with my mouse. And she says, well, I've never done this before. I didn't know technology was this far ahead. She said, this is fantastic. This is unbelievable. She said, we don't even have to get together. We can do it all online, and it's just fantastic.
I wrote an offer on the buy side through CTM, and when I went in to populate everything and noticed that the listing agent wasn't using CTM, I mean, it was like, oh darn, because it created more work for me. And then when she sent back a counter to me, she was using a different type of e-signing, you know, different program out there, and it got a little confusing because hers was much more difficult. There was like a 2-page, you know, instruction deal on it, and by the end of the transaction, because we did go have multiple counters, and by the end of the transaction, she had said, boy, the CTM was actually a lot easier. I might have to take a look at it. So it's just kind of one of those things when you see it, it's so much, it flows easier and so much user friendly than what I've seen.